Welcome to the world of science fiction stories, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe my channel. Enjoy the listening. A ship made from scrap, now the galaxy's biggest threat. Jack Mason wiped the sweat from his forehead as he guided his small salvage ship through the debris field. All around him floated the remains of forgotten battles and abandoned vessels, a graveyard of metal and memories. This was where he belonged, this was where he thrived. Just another day in paradise, he muttered to himself, his eyes scanning the sensor readings for anything valuable. Jack was known in the few human outposts as the Collector, a title he hadn't chosen but had learned to embrace. For 15 years, he had made his living by finding what others had thrown away or lost, fixing it, and selling it to those who couldn't afford new equipment. It wasn't glamorous work, but it kept him free, and freedom was something increasingly rare for humans. The Galactic Confederation, a union of 12 advanced alien species, had discovered Earth 60 years ago. Initially, they had presented themselves as benevolent guides, offering to help humanity join the galactic community, but their true intentions became clear soon enough. Humans were quarantined to their solar system and a few nearby colonies, allowed only the most basic interstellar technology, and treated as little more than clever animals by most Confederation species. Jack was one of the few humans who lived outside those boundaries, surviving in the gaps of the Confederation's attention. His self-salvage license was technically legal, but the areas he worked were often in gray zones, places where the rules blurred and enforcement was spotty. His scanner beeped, drawing his attention to a section of debris he hadn't explored before. Something was giving off a faint energy signature, barely detectable even with his modified equipment. "Well, hello there," Jack said, steering his ship toward the reading. "What are you hiding?" As he approached, he saw nothing but twisted metal and shattered hull fragments, but Jack had learned long ago that appearances in space could be deceiving. He suited up, checked his oxygen levels, and prepared for a spacewalk. Outside his ship, tethered by a safety line, Jack moved with the practiced ease of someone who had spent more time in zero gravity than planetside. He pushed off gently from handhold to handhold, making his way toward the energy signature. The source turned out to be buried under a massive section of what looked like an engine housing. Whatever ship this had come from, it had been enormous, far larger than anything humans were permitted to build. Jack used his suit's small thrusters to circle the debris, looking for a way in. "There you are," he whispered, spotting a gap just wide enough for him to squeeze through. Inside the twisted metal cocoon, Jack's headlamp illuminated something that made his breath catch. It wasn't just engine parts or salvageable tech, it was the partial hull of an ancient battleship, its design unlike anything in current Confederation fleets. The metal was dark and patterned with symbols he didn't recognize, and despite being broken and battered, it had an elegance to it that spoke of highly advanced engineering. Jack's scanner showed the energy signature coming from deeper within the wreckage. He moved carefully, aware that even dead ships could be dangerous, especially ones of unknown origin. In what must have been a command center, Jack found the source, a small hexagonal device no bigger than his hand, pulsing with a soft blue light. It was intact, seemingly undamaged despite the destruction all around it. "Now what are you?" Jack murmured, carefully detaching the device from its housing. As soon as he touched it, the blue pulsing increased in speed, and Jack felt a strange sensation, as if the device was scanning him. Then, just as suddenly, it went dormant. Jack's instincts told him he had found something significant, not just valuable in the usual sense, but important. He secured the device in his collection bag and continued exploring the wreckage. Over the next 4 hours, Jack discovered more intact components, damaged but salvageable weapon mounts, pieces of what might be a navigation system, and most excitingly, a mostly intact shield generator of a design far more advanced than what the Confederation used publicly. The ship had been massive once, and ancient. Carbon dating on his scanner suggested the wreckage was at least 50,000 years old, predating the Confederation itself. This belonged to a civilization that had risen and fallen before humans had even established their first cities on Earth. Jack's heart raced with possibilities. With enough time and the right additional parts, he could potentially piece together something from this ancient technology, something that wasn't on the Confederation's restricted list because they didn't even know it existed. As he was preparing to return to his ship with his findings, Jack's warning system buzzed. A Confederation patrol vessel was approaching the debris field. If they caught him with this technology, the best he could hope for was life imprisonment. More likely, he would simply disappear. Jack worked quickly, using a camouflage net designed to mask energy signatures to cover the most obvious parts of the wreckage. He couldn't hide it all, but he could make it look like ordinary debris to a passing scan. Then he retreated to his ship, powered down all but the most essential systems, and drifted, hoping to blend in with the surrounding debris. Through his viewport, he watched the sleek Confederation patrol ship glide through the field, its scanning beams sweeping methodically through the wreckage. A tense hour passed before the patrol moved on, apparently finding nothing of interest. Jack let out the breath he had been holding and began planning. He couldn't move all the wreckage at once, but he could return with larger equipment. He marked the location on his private charts with a simple code that would mean nothing to anyone else: Phoenix Nest. Over the next few weeks, Jack made several cautious trips back to the site, each time taking only what he could safely transport and hide. He established a base in an abandoned mining facility buried deep in a large asteroid on the edge of a system the Confederation considered worthless. There, piece by piece, he began to assemble his find. The hexagonal device turned out to be a key of sorts. When connected to power, it projected schematics, holographic blueprints of the original vessel. Jack couldn't read the language, but he could follow the diagrams, seeing how the pieces fit together. It would take years to gather all the parts he needed, and he would have to improvise with technology from a dozen different sources to replace what was missing, but for the first time since the Confederation had confined humanity to their cosmic corner, Jack felt something long forgotten: hope. Looking at the slowly growing collection of alien technology in his hidden workshop, Jack allowed himself a rare smile. Someday, he promised the silent components, you'll fly again. And when you do, the Confederation will learn that humans are more than they bargained for. Outside, the stars continued their silent watch, indifferent to the ambitions of the small human working among the shadows. But in time, even they would bear witness to what was coming: a ship made from scrap that would become the galaxy's biggest threat. 3 years passed like a slow-burning star. In his hidden asteroid facility, Jack Mason worked with relentless determination, turning his discovery from dream into reality. The abandoned mining tunnels had become his sanctuary, expanding over time into a makeshift shipyard large enough to hold his growing creation. "Hand me the fusion coupler," Jack called out, his voice echoing in the cavernous space. Mac Jenkins, a burly man with a scarred face and hands steady as bedrock, passed the tool without looking up from his own work. "This weapon mount is almost ready," he said. "Never seen anything like it. Could probably cut a Confederation cruiser in half." Jack nodded appreciatively. Finding Mac had been a stroke of luck. The former weapons specialist had been serving a life sentence in a Confederation prison camp for the crime of unauthorized weapons research. Jack had freed him during a supply raid 18 months ago, and Mac had pledged his expertise to the project ever since. "Anna, how's the navigation system coming along?" Jack called to another corner of the facility. Anna Rice, her slim figure bent over a console, gave a thumbs up. "Integrated the salvaged Confederation star charts with the ancient system. It's like they were made for each other." Anna had been a pilot for the human resistance, shot down and left for dead near Jupiter's moons. Jack had found her drifting in an escape pod, nearly out of oxygen. "The power couplings in Section 3 are stable," came another voice from beneath the hull. Rex Donovan, with his wild gray hair and oil-stained coveralls, rolled out from under the massive structure. A mechanical genius who could fix anything with moving parts, Rex had joined the project after Confederation forces destroyed his repair shop on Mars Colony, claiming he was violating technology restrictions. From a platform above them all, Davis Morgan monitored the operation. The former military strategist had a calm demeanor that hid a brilliant tactical mind. He had been working as a janitor in a Confederation outpost, hiding his true identity, when Jack recruited him. "Forward shield generators are showing a 200% increase over our initial estimates," Davis reported. "If these readings are correct, this ship could withstand direct hits from a Confederation dreadnought." Together, they formed an unlikely crew, outcasts and rebels united by a common purpose. The ship they were building, piece by salvaged piece, represented more than just a vessel. It was humanity's chance to break free from the chains the Confederation had placed on them. The Phoenix, as Jack had named it, was taking shape. Its hull was a patchwork of different metals and alloys, some from the original ancient vessel, others salvaged from various wrecks. Its systems were a hive of technology spanning millennia and species, integrated in ways their original designers never imagined. "We're breaking every rule in the book," Rex often said with a grin. "Mixing technologies like this should be impossible." But Jack had discovered something extraordinary about human minds. They weren't bound by the same rigid thinking patterns as many Confederation species. Where others saw incompatible systems, humans saw possibilities for connection. The Phoenix's greatest strength was its irregular design, impossible to predict or counter using standard Confederation tactics. Late one night, when the others had retired to their quarters, Jack stood alone in the main chamber, staring up at the nearly completed ship. Its dark hull absorbed the light, making it seem like a hole in reality rather than a physical object. Only the occasional gleam of metal or flicker of an activated system revealed its true nature. "Almost there," he whispered to himself. The last major component, the ancient power core he discovered in the original wreckage, still lay on a workbench nearby. Despite years of study, Jack and his crew hadn't fully deciphered its technology. It utilized an energy source unknown to the Confederation, something that seemed to draw power from subspace itself, creating energy without apparent fuel or waste. Integrating it would be their final and most dangerous step. The next morning, the crew gathered around the power core, each face showing a mixture of excitement and apprehension. "Once we connect this," Jack explained, "there's no going back. If it works, the Phoenix will have more power than any ship its size in the galaxy. If it doesn't..." He left the possibility unspoken. "We've come too far to turn back now," Anna said firmly. Davis nodded. "The risk is acceptable given the potential strategic advantage." "Let's light this candle," Rex added with a grin. Mac simply gave a thumbs up, his usual response to any challenge. Together, they moved the power core into position at the heart of the ship. Jack had designed a special chamber for it, surrounded by containment fields based on multiple technologies. As they secured the final connections, the ancient device began to pulse with the same blue light Jack had seen when he first discovered it. "Power levels rising," Rex called out, monitoring the readings. "Steady, steady, it's working." The blue light spread through dedicated channels throughout the ship, flowing like liquid energy through the veins of some massive beast. Systems began to activate one by one, consoles lighting up, engines humming with potential energy. Then something unexpected happened. A holographic projection appeared in the center of the bridge, swirling patterns of light that gradually coalesced into a humanoid shape, neither male or female, with features that seemed to shift subtly moment by moment. "Vessel activation protocol initiated," it announced in a voice that somehow reached their minds without passing through their ears. "I am the ship's integrated neural network, designation Cyan. Identifying new crew." The 5 humans stood frozen in amazement. None of them had programmed this. "This must be part of the original ship systems," Jack whispered. The AI seemed to focus on Jack. "Commander identified. Awaiting mission parameters." Jack exchanged looks with his crew, then straightened his shoulders and addressed the AI directly. "Our mission is freedom. The Phoenix will break the chains that bind humanity." Cyan's form flickered. "Mission accepted." beginning integration with current systems. Around them, the Phoenix seemed to come alive. Displays showed the AI rapidly analyzing and optimizing the ship's hybrid systems, finding connections and possibilities they hadn't even considered. "It's learning," Anna said in wonder. "Adapting to our modifications and improving them," Rex added, watching the diagnostics. "Look at the efficiency ratings, they're climbing by the second." The integration process continued for hours, with Cyan occasionally requesting information about certain technologies or asking for clarification on their purposes. By midnight, the AI announced completion. "The Phoenix is ready for operation," Cyan stated. "All systems functional. May I suggest commencing flight tests at your earliest convenience?" Jack looked around at his exhausted but exhilarated crew. Against all odds, they had done it. They had created something unprecedented, a ship made from the discarded pieces of a dozen civilizations, powered by ancient technology, and guided by an AI that predated the Confederation itself. "Tomorrow," Jack decided. "We see if she can fly." As the others retired to rest before the momentous day ahead, Jack remained on the bridge, running his hand along a console that blended sleek ancient design with rough human modifications. "Tomorrow," he repeated softly to himself. "Everything changes." Outside the asteroid, the stars continued their eternal vigil, unaware that a force was about to emerge that would shake the foundations of the galaxy. The asteroid facility's massive doors groaned open for the first time in 3 years. Inside, the Phoenix waited, its dark hull absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Jack stood on the bridge with his crew, each at their stations, faces illuminated by the soft glow of their consoles. "All systems green," Rex reported from engineering, his fingers dancing across the hybrid controls. "Power core stable at 40% capacity. Weapon systems online and ready," Mac confirmed, his scarred face split by a rare smile. "Still can't believe we got these working." Anna sat at the pilot station, her hands hovering over the controls. "Navigation is set for our test route. Minimal Confederation presence expected in that sector." Davis monitored the tactical display. "Exit path is clear. No patrol ships detected within sensor range." Jack took a deep breath and settled into the commander's chair. This was the moment they had worked toward for so long, the maiden voyage of a ship that shouldn't exist. "Cyan, are you with us?" Jack asked. The AI's holographic form appeared beside him. "All systems integrated and functioning within optimal parameters." "I am ready to assist, Commander." Jack nodded and gave the order they had all been waiting for, "Take us out, Anna." "Nice and easy." Anna's fingers connected with the controls, and the Phoenix hummed to life. The ship rose smoothly from its cradle, hovering for a moment before gliding forward through the open doors and into the darkness of space. "Thrusters responding perfectly," Anna reported, her voice tight with concentration. "Better than the simulations." Once clear of the asteroid, Anna engaged the main engines. The Phoenix surged forward with unexpected power, pushing them all back in their seats. "Whoa!" Rex called out. Engine output exceeding predictions by 30%. Jack gripped his chair arms. "Cyan, what's happening?" "I have optimized engine efficiency based on crew intent and situational parameters," the AI replied calmly. "The Phoenix is performing within safe operational limits." As they accelerated away from their hidden base, Jack ordered a series of maneuvers to test the ship's capabilities. The Phoenix responded with incredible agility for a vessel its size, turning and banking smoothly despite its patchwork construction. "Let's test the stealth systems," Jack commanded once they were safely away from any known travel routes. Rex activated the system they had cobbled together from salvaged Confederation scout ships and components from the original ancient vessel. The lights on the bridge dimmed as power redirected. "Stealth system engaged," Rex confirmed. "But we won't know if it's working until something tries to scan us." They wouldn't have to wait long for that test. Davis suddenly straightened at his console. Picking up a distress signal, he announced. Human frequency, coming from the Proxima Outpost Road. Put it through, Jack ordered. A frantic voice crackled over the comm system, Mayday, Mayday. This is Colony Transport Horizon. We are under attack by Confederation patrol ships. They claim we violated territorial restrictions. We have families aboard. Please, anyone. The message dissolved into static. Jack looked around at his crew, seeing his own decision reflected in their faces. The test flight had just become a rescue mission. Anna, set course for the Horizon's coordinates, maximum speed. Mac, ready weapons, but don't power up yet. We'll use stealth to approach. The Phoenix changed course, its engines pushing to new limits as they raced toward the distress call. When they arrived at the coordinates, they found a grim scene, a bulky human.